What's up, Speak For Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I've got great news. I'm a finalist for a Shorty Award. Go vote for your boy and make sure I bring this award home. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for making Club Shay a success.
Welcome to Speak For Yourself. I'm Marcel Swally, your host of WSFY, Silky Soul Singer #1. I look kind of silky over here today. Emmanuel Acho, my dog. What you doing over there? You look good.
I don't know, just wrapping a flower though. I don't know.
Splashy, environmentally friendly it looks a little over there. All right, let's get it started in the NBA. I won today. Where the Lakers were dealt a huge blow Saturday when LeBron James had to leave in the second quarter against the Hawks. With a high ankle sprain. Reports say the Lakers are preparing for the possibility that LeBron could miss up to a month. LA is already missing Anthony Davis. Now they've lost 2 straight games and are currently the 3rd seed in the very crowded Western Conference. So, Acho, what is the biggest issue for the Lakers without LeBron?
So the biggest issue I think we're not talking about, which is obviously we know the Lakers going to struggle without LeBron right here, right now. But I always think about what's the side effects? What's the collateral damage, if you will, right? So you get injured, you tear an ACL. Everybody talks about, oh, you got hurt right now. There's an ACL injury. But you're 84% more likely to re-tear your ACL once you've already torn your ACL.
What was that number?
84%.
Who the hell told you that? You sure it ain't 85?
Look, science studies, right? So it's not just dealing with the damage of a torn ACL. It's what's the lingering effects? So what are the lingering effects of LeBron James being absent? The first one I see, the biggest issue is this. All of a sudden, the Lakers more than likely will drop to a 6 or a 7 or an 8 seed. And if you drop to a 7 seed, all of a sudden now you got to play in a play-in game. Or now you got to play against the Dallas Mavericks or the San Antonio Spurs. And all of a sudden, if you lose 2 games, boom, you missed the playoffs. So I'm not just worried about what's happening with the Lakers losing LeBron James right now, but the biggest issue is they're going to end up playing a little Russian roulette with their fate towards the end of the season. Lakers are 11-22 without LeBron James since he's shown up in LA. They're 2-4 without LeBron James the last 2 seasons. 33% win percentage without LeBron James. So their biggest issue is I think they're going to wind up in a play-in game, which means LeBron James, if he does return, obviously we foresee him returning in the next 4 to 6 weeks. When he does return, now you got to play in 2 Game 7 caliber games just to get into the playoffs. That, for me, is the first biggest issue.
First biggest issue. Okay, for me, it's arrogance. But I'm going to get to that after I get to the fact that you started off your first sentence saying, what people are not talking about. I was like, we just started the show. Who are these people you talking about? You watching these other shows? Man, don't look down there. Don't look down there. Stay with us, big dog. Your first sentence can't be what they talking about. It's what we talk about. Let's go there. And I love the fact that you highlighted the side effects, that fine print at the end of the commercials when they say, hey, take these drugs.
Bingo.
All right, we'll get to that. But here, without even waiting to the end of the commercial, it's arrogance. I remind people about this Lakers team that last year they had 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA. With the 5-month break and a bubble, and they won an NBA championship. Now, you could absorb all that and say, you know what? They're champions. But I'm going to remind you that all champions aren't created equal. One, every champion has never, ever been able to say, we did it during Corona. We did it during a pandemic. We did it with a 5-month break. We did it in a bubble. Who knows what the effects of all of those things were to this championship? But I will tell you this. If you don't have one of those stars, let alone 2 of those stars, that arrogance of that all champions are created equal will come back to bite you, because they're not. I tell you that these champions, the Los Angeles Lakers of last year, of all the recent champions, let's go back to 2002. The Lakers allowed the most points per game, highest opponent field goal percentage, and the highest opponent 3-point percentage. Why am I bringing that up? Because it shows that all champions aren't created equal, and it shows that the margin for error with this team was slimmer than any other champion that we've seen basically in the last 20 years. And that's with 2 of the top 5 players. And that's with a 5-month break that helped AD, who's historically injury-prone, and it helped LeBron James, who was just recently injury-prone. What were the Lakers without AD, a non-playoff team? What were the Lakers that year with LeBron James? Kind of good when he was there, when he was available. But LeBron got hurt, they missed the playoffs, and they had no AD. They have AD, they have LeBron, they get a 5-month break, they play in a bubble, they become champions.
Yes, sir.
careful, young man. If you don't think this team is believing that all we need is AD back, all we need is LeBron back, and everything can be fixed, you are deluding yourself and not believing that this team is arrogant, believing that all things are fixed because all things are equal. This team already had an uphill climb before AD got hurt. Now LeBron's hurt. Woo! That play-in game, it's going to have the Los Angeles Lakers on it because the Los Angeles Lakers are going to find themselves swimming around 500 without AD and without LeBron.
The issue is the why. I don't disagree with you on the what, right? I don't disagree with you on the fact that they're going to be like a 7 seed trying to find a way to survive in a play-in game. But let's talk about the why because, Sal, I hate when people use a word in the definition of the word. For example,
that's ignorance.
Emmanuel, how would you define humility? As someone who's humble. I hate when people do that. But the issue at hand is the Lakers' role players are going to have to figure out how to play their role.
Hold on, but you just hate. You just said that.
I hate doing it, but in this example, I have to do it.
All right, go ahead.
The issue of the why. Why are the Lakers going to falter? Because their role players don't know how to play their role. Sal, the Lakers were finally trying to figure out how to do things without AD. 6-8. And then in their last 8, they had won 6 out of their last 8 games. So now all of a sudden they were figuring things out. But who going to take the last shot? Who's going to create their own shot? Who can create their own shot? When I look at this roster, THT, maybe. Kuzma can create his own shot, but it ain't going to be a good shot. That's the thing. The role players are confused. Yesterday, in that game alone, KCP, 2 for 7. Wesley Matthews, 0 for 5. Keith, 1 for 6. 3 for 18, and those were their starters. How you going to get 9 collective points out of those 3 starters? The Lakers have an identity issue, which to me is the why, because it's a matter of you don't have anybody who can create their own shot. You don't have anybody who's going to take the last shot. You don't have anybody who can create a good shot. So when I look at this Lakers team and you talk about the what is we know they're going to struggle. The why is they were just starting to figure things out without AD. Just starting to. It won 6 out of the last 8 games prior to LeBron getting hurt. So we just starting to figure things out. Now you got to figure things out without AD and LeBron. And then they're both going to come back. And now you got to figure out how to play your role once again. We can't act as though issues that we claim for the Brooklyn Nets, we don't claim for the Lakers. The issues we claim for the Nets, man, KD, Harden, Kyrie, they won't have all played together before they get to the playoffs. Let's not get it twisted. These Lakers wouldn't have all played together before they get to the playoffs either, and that to me is an issue.
I love it. I love it. I don't want to overtalk this because it's just a talent conversation.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like last year, we were watching the Los Angeles Lakers go out there, and then they played a Voltron, I guess, the Miami Heat. Everyone's saying, but they have 4 scorers, and they all score around 20 points a game. What's going to happen? I was one of those guys. And I was like, well, what are you going to do? How can you defend them all? But it was really a talent conversation. Do they have 2 of the top 5 players? No, they going to lose. Okay, this year, the Lakers, without 2 of the top 5 players, you're going to lose because it's just a talent conversation. Go back to the Golden State Warriors. When they won, it was a talent conversation. They had more talent. When they lost, that talent was injured. That's all this is. I look at it now, people are saying, well, they did win the championship. They did play the Heat. The Heat right now are 5th in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics are 6th in the Eastern Conference, and that was the Eastern Conference Finals. I only bring that up to let you know, these champions, when you think about leveling the playing field, when you try to go through a pandemic-shortened season, 72 games, it's not going to be a 5-month break. There won't be a bubble. What are these teams really looking like? One team is 5th in their conference. Another team is 6th in their conference. And the Lakers are sitting here under 500 without AD. 7-8 since AD last played on February 14th. Looks like Valentine's Day, but there's no love when you talk about that with these Lakers. These Lakers right now had a plan. And their plan was to simply put out LeBron James, who's the GOAT. And if you don't want to say that, at least he's the king. And then AD, and let's go to war. But man plans and God laughs. And God's laughing right now like, what's your plan B? And we all know playoff, anything, any sport, football, basketball, it's what's your plan B? The Lakers' plan B right now, and this is with respect, is to roll out Montrezl Harrell in the front of the warm-up lines and say, we gonna get them. The other team know, nah, B, that ain't gonna happen. So the same Montrezl Harrell who had his issues in the playoffs last year to the point where he's not a Los Angeles Clipper, is now going to be the guy that leads the charge indefinitely while AD heals and LeBron heals? Give me something to smile about if you're a Lakers fan, because right now I don't see it.
Let's say this, and then I wasn't planning on going here prior to, but as you're discussing, you've taken me to a place.
Let's go.
This could, in theory, work out for the Lakers. Here is why. LeBron James, we know his mind is standing in the way of his body at times, right? Like, I'm not going to take any games off. I'm trying to win a regular season MVP. Or, you know what? Like, the fans just deserve to see me play every night. Right. I'm not going to cheat the game of basketball. But the fact of the matter is, hey, more than likely, y'all going to play the playoffs in a bubble, some type of bubble format. In which case, home court advantage don't really matter all that much. So the difference between being the 3 seed and the 6 seed is kind of irrelevant. So, Sal, if the Lakers, and since the Lakers, not if, the Lakers have played 19 more games than the Suns over the last calendar year, right? Just the Suns currently the 2 seed, Lakers currently the 4 seed. Let's go to the East. You just brought it up. The Heat have played 17 more games last calendar year than the 76ers because the Heat made it all the way to the finals and the Sixers didn't. The Sixers currently the 1 seed, Heat currently the 5 seed. So the Lakers, the Heat, the Nuggets, the Celtics, all the teams that were in the championship games last year have played anywhere from 17 to 20 more games than the top seeds this year. They fatigued. They might not want to admit they're fatigued, but there is chronic fatigue. If you're telling me LeBron James, finally, for only the second time in his career, is going to get an extended in-season layoff, AD, finally, going to get an extended mid-season layoff, there is a chance that this might coincidentally play to the Lakers' advantage because LeBron James was never going to give himself the rest that PG gave himself against the Nets in a game-winning, game-clinching situation. LeBron ain't never going to give himself the rest that Kawhi routinely gives himself. LeBron's never given himself the rest that Kyrie finds himself giving himself more often than not. So maybe, just maybe, LeBron's body is going to give LeBron James the rest of the fatigue that he actually needed. That's the only chance that the Lakers can find some sort of solace in this situation. There's truth to that.
Hey, what?
There's truth to that.
The way you were spinning that, what was those, some spree wells? They spinning. Let's
be real. It's not a coincidence that all the championship teams are currently 5 and 6 seeds.
What do you mean, championship teams?
From last year. Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals. They were the best teams last year.
There's another theory.
No break.
There's another theory.
What's the theory?
I try to tell you. There was an asterisk for last year, basketball year, but people don't want to hear me. But the proof is in the pudding. The Lakers right now broke it down. Like, if they would have had to play through the entire season last year and the war of attrition would have added up on the Lakers and every other team, you would have saw a different result. I'm not saying the Lakers wouldn't have won, but it would have looked different. It wouldn't have been all those 4-1, 4-1, 4-1s. It would have looked different. You give old-ass LeBron and then AD, who's always hurt, 5 months and say reset. Man, they about to, and they started slow even at the beginning of the bubble, and then it went boom. I'm just saying it would have looked different. Oh, like this year. It's looking different. That was my point, Nacho. But keep spinning. I like it. I love your point, though, about how LeBron, his mind will get in the way of his body. Kind of like this video when I saw LeBron James get injured on that high ankle sprain. Look at LeBron James right here. When he realizes that he has the ankle injury, he comes back out in this situation, because he has that 10-point record streak, and says, let me go keep that streak alive. I'm not even mad at LeBron. I do, too. As a player, I would have did the same damn thing. But also, somebody would have checked me. One of my real homies would have been like, bruh, that's where your mind went as soon as you got hurt on the high.
Facts.
No, it's not facts. Let me tell you why. You ain't gonna get no Kobe Bryant Achilles injury free throw line experience from that. You got a high ankle sprain, and you stand in the game. And first of all, I don't think people understand what we're saying because they don't know what a high ankle sprain is. Will you stop with the ankle sprain is like, tape it up, let's go.
That's nothing.
High ankle sprain had GBG missed 10 football games last year and damn near on the cut trading block. High ankle sprain affects everything from that low ankle all the way to the thigh. It's black as blue. On me, it's just blue. It's just the point is, you are debilitated with a high ankle sprain, but LeBron found just a little nitrous to go out there and keep that streak. That told me a little something about LeBron. But
What did it tell you?
What it told me? A little satisfied in this moment in terms of all the team experience, and let me just make sure I get mine because who knows how this team is going to play it out. What did it tell you?
It told me this. It's like LeBron James realizes this will probably go down as one of the most untouchable records in sports history. I think he's at like, what, 1,500?
No, it's 1,036.
Like, he's at 1,000 consecutive games of 10 points. Insane. He knows nobody about to touch this. I'm not about to lose this record off of a high ankle sprain. It's not as selfish to me as it is like he's aware of all things at all times. You got a high ankle sprain. You about to miss a lot of games, and you like, wait a second.
I take it back.
What y'all not about to do is take this untouchable record from me. Okay. Let me splash a quick little three and then go out. To me, I was like, LeBron, you always know what's going on. But you know me, I always look positive.
You love LeBron. Okay, but LeBron was there, and when AD was there, and you love LeBron, spin this a positive. 20th in the NBA in points per game. Told you this year is different. 22nd in the NBA in three-point percentage. Told you this year was different. 25th in turnovers. Told you this year is different, big dog. Say what you want. Last year, this year, ain't nothing gonna save you. No 5 months in bubble. Good luck, Lakers. Coming up at the top of the hour, Russell Wilson is a Seahawk right now, but we'll tell you if Seattle has let their quarterback down. But first, Dak Prescott got paid. He got paid a whole lot of. We'll tell you if we're confident he'll live up to the new deal next season. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Yeah, you're right. LeBron always saying knowing, but dang.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head back to my hometown, Dallas, where Dak Prescott must still be smiling after signing that 4-year deal worth $160 million. Dak will make $75 million next season alone. Now, the Cowboys are trying to bounce back from a 6-10 season, and their quarterback is attempting to return from a season-ending injury. I can't wait for this. Well, Dak appears to be getting ready for the expectations, posting a pic on Instagram this weekend wearing a Kobe sweatshirt and boxing gloves and the caption, Mamba mentality. I respect it, Dak. I respect it. Well, Sal, let's dive into it, man.
Horny.
You confident that Dak lives up to the new deal in year one?
Yeah, I'm confident. Before I saw that post, but yeah, I'm confident. And Dak's mentality, like Dak, I know Kobe Bryant is amazing, and Mamba mentality for that generation means a lot, as it should. But Dak's mentality is enough for me. There won't be a more motivated and driven player in the NFL this year, more than Dak Prescott. Let's talk about who Dak Prescott is as soon as he lands on the field for the Dallas Cowboys week 1. That's 11 points more per game just standing there. Before he even goes out there and shows you his improvement, let's just talk about what he meant to this team in the past. Dak Prescott went out there for these Dallas Cowboys and gave them 32.5 points a game. Without Dak Prescott, the same exact team could only score 21 points a game. Now, let's talk about Dak Prescott, because everybody's saying, is he going to live up to the deal in year 1? Hell yeah, because it's easy money already built into the deal. If you look at year 1, what it doesn't tell you is the fact that he still gets to play in the NFC East. And let's look at Dak Prescott in the NFC East since he's been a Dallas Cowboy. 19-6, that's a 760 win percentage. Okay. But he lost to 3 NFC East teams his rookie year. So let's say what it really is. 16-3 against the NFC East since his rookie year. Remember the rookie year, he wasn't even supposed to be the starter. Good Lord, he eats off them boys out there in that same division. If you eat off of your division, what happens? You're guaranteed to be in the playoffs. So Dak Prescott living up to his deal in week 1, in year 1, I should say, 11 more points, at least, a game. Yeah, he's going to beat all the guys in his division. At least that's what his record shows what he's going to do. So all impact is going to be positive from Dak Prescott once again under center. Say anything different than that, you're not looking at the history, you're not looking at the resume, and you're not looking at Dak Prescott.
So there's no possible, plausible way that Dak Prescott lives up to his deal year 1.
No way?
No possible way, no plausible way. It is not going to happen. And the problem is this. It's not that Dak Prescott is a bad quarterback. No. Again, I'll say this. Money makes you richer. It does not make you better.
Huh?
Money
you sure?
makes you 1,000%.
When you got, how much did you get paid then?
It doesn't matter.
I got better.
Money makes you richer. No. You were always good. You just got richer. Now, you might have had more eyeballs on you, but money make you richer, big dog. It don't make you no better. Regardless of the skill, regardless of the entity, regardless of the occupation. It just make you richer.
Okay, let's go.
All right, we're going to go there. Now, look, value is also always directly correlated to expectation. So if you were to go to Chili's and order you a steak.
Why am I at Chili's getting a steak? Why?
If you was in Chili's and you got you a steak, you'd be like, oh, wow, the steak was pretty good. Now, order and have the same quality of steak at a 5-star steakhouse. You'd be like, ugh.
That ain't it.
Because your expectation is what actually dictates the value.
Facts.
So Dak Prescott comes into the NFL, 4th-round pick, no expectation to start. He shouldn't even be out there. Tony Romo's supposed to be out there.
Yeah.
Oh, he goes 13-3. They make the playoffs. Wow, Dak Prescott. Then he goes 9-7. Yeah, but he was only a 4th-round pick, not a big deal. Oh, 10-6. They make the playoffs. Dak Prescott.
Don't do that.
But then they go 8-8. Yeah, but he's only a 4th-round pick. Not a big deal. Then they start 2-3. Yeah, but he's only a 4th-round pick. Not a big deal. The problem is that 4th-round pick mentality is gone. 4th-round pick expectations, gone.
Oh, really?
Now Dak Prescott is a $160 million man, and that's what he has to live up to. Now I'm going to drop the bomb on y'all and drop this hammer on y'all very simply. Let's talk about different perspectives. Through the last 38 games, Mitch Trubisky or Dak Prescott, who would you think would have a better record? America would tell you surely Dak has a better record. Through the last 37, 38 games, that's the last 3 seasons if y'all are counting at home. Mitch is actually 25-13. Dak is 20-17. Now, Dak has a 54% winning percentage. Mitch has a 66% winning percentage. I didn't skew these stats for y'all. I gave you touchdowns and interceptions so you can see Dak in that incubated category is significantly better. Completion percentage, fairly similar. Playoff appearances, Mitch has more than Dak. The difference, though, Sel, is we view Mitch Trubisky as terrible because he was a number 2 overall pick, traded up to draft him, drafted him over Deshaun, drafted him over Patrick Mahomes, so the expectations for Mitch were significantly higher. Now Mitch is a backup somewhere in Buffalo, your squad. Not because Mitch was terrible, because statistically, Mitch Trubisky compared to Dak Prescott, fairly comparable when you factor in winning and you also factor in individual performances. But the expectations for one were higher. Dak's expectations right now are through the roof. We're now going to start to look at Dak through the lens we should have been looking at him through critically. Ain't no way he can live up to the deal. Not because Dak is bad, but now his expectations are finally going to match the position he's in.
First of all, that chili stuff is good right there. That was a good comparison right there. I'm going to play with that in a little bit. But we're talking about same Dak Prescott. Don't let the Kobe Bryant jersey fool you to think that he needs some help in terms of mentality, in terms of character, in terms of performance, when he has the 2nd highest passer rating through 5 seasons of any quarterback in NFL history. But you know, you sneeze on him. You don't like Chili's, I guess. Let's talk about a quarterback who's never had a losing season when healthy, but once again, you just drive by Chili's, huh? But let's talk about what Chili's really is, because sometimes the same chef that is at Chili's maybe get a little side gig at the 5-star restaurant because they know he's a little cheaper. Let's talk about that situation. Let that sit in with you. I'm going to start at the top, because it sounds like when you talk about value and expectations, you're really just saying if you get paid a whole lot, you better do a whole lot.
Facts.
Correct?
All day.
All right, let's do this. Let's talk about the top 5 salaries in the NFL. But really, it's 6 players because 2 of them make the same amount of money. You want to start here at the top? Patrick Mahomes.
Lives up to it.
He does?
Right.
Okay, but since he got paid, did he win a Super Bowl?
He went to it.
No, wait. Damn it. Your Honor, he's not answering the questions. Did he win it?
He didn't win
Did
it.
he get
He went to
mollywopped in the Super Bowl?
He was
Look,
there.
I understand. Those are absurd expectations. That's 6-star restaurant. It didn't even exist. But the point is, come on now.
Keep going. I'm with
okay.
you.
Dak Prescott's number 2. Are we going to skip him?
Yeah, skip him for now.
Let's go to Deshaun Watson.
Did not live up to
Hey, buddy. 4-12. Since he got paid, 4-12. And same playoff record as Dak and 24 donut.
And he hasn't lived up to it yet.
Hold on. But you act like he's a chili. He had Chili's. Is that Chili's? I thought you told me Deshaun Watson top 5. And you said he may be top 3. Okay, so wait a minute.
He hasn't lived up to his expectations.
Hold on.
I'm not going to lie because I like Deshaun.
Wait a minute. No, I know you're not lying. You're just trying to talk out of both sides of your mouth. Both sides are true, but they're going to meet and live a lie. Here's the thing. You can't be top 5 in the NFL and then be like, you ain't lived up to expectations. And then you said he may be top 3, but hold on, let me finish
Go
this
ahead,
before
go ahead.
Write notes like I do, and then you'll get to him. Okay, Russell Wilson, has he lived up to this money since? Oh, that face getting funny over there. Oh, the same Russell Wilson who was 3-6 in his last 9 playoff appearances. Oh my God. Let's keep going. Aaron Rodgers. Oh, okay, people can say, yeah, that's damn it, he ain't won a Super Bowl. Damn, he ain't even been a Super Bowl. Matter of fact, he's 7-8 in the playoffs since he's been to the Super Bowl, but he does put his team in position to win it all. And last but not least, I don't know why, but Jared Goff makes the same amount of money as Aaron Rodgers. Has he lived up to expectations? You already know that answer because they didn't even want him to stay here in L.A. He's now in Detroit. My point is, yeah, you could tell me you must live up to expectations. You are a weight room in high school where everyone says that's the culture, determination, desire, discipline. And coach looking around like, nah, you know what the culture really is? The best players going to get what they want, and the rest of y'all fall in line. I don't want to hear what the culture is. I want to see what it is. I want to hear what the expectations are. I want to see them because right now on this list, no one has lived up to expectations. So why in the hell are you going to try to come and single out Dak Prescott?
Big dog, your money should equate to your rank. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. He finished collectively as the best quarterback in the NFL, or his team was top 2. His money is correlated to his rank.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson, second highest paid. His money doesn't individually correlate to his rank because he might be 5th or 4th or 6th, and his team doesn't correlate to his rank because they were 4 and 12. Russell Wilson, his pay correlates to his team's rank. Fairly similarly. He's the 3rd, 4th, 5th highest paid. You know better than I. You got the numbers. His team finished 6th or 7th. Aaron Rodgers, yes, meeting expectations. His money correlates to his rank.
What are the expectations?
He won MVP. He was the best player in the football league this year. So he really, in theory, should be highest paid.
Okay, so it's individual then.
I said individual or collective.
Wait a minute.
One or the other.
So it can't be individual without the collective.
It can be. I'll go with that.
Yes, keep going.
But if we're there, perfect. Let's land there. It can be individual. We've all collectively agreed Jared Goff is not as good as Dak, correct?
Yes.
We there. He's not as good as Dak. But let me ask you this, big dog. If Jared Goff, we collectively as a society, even y'all at home is like, Jared Goff, he shouldn't be in the same sentence as Dak. Then why, in God's name, are their statistics incredibly comparable since they entered the league? Exact same amount of wins, exact same amount of losses. Goff has a one more touchdown. He has significantly more picks. Goff passes for more yards, same amount of Pro Bowls, but one has been to a Super Bowl. The reason we think Jared Goff is terrible and Dak Prescott is great is because of that last stat at the bottom.
What?
Draft position. Jared Goff was number 1 overall. Dak was number 135. So, they're the same collective person.
No, they're not.
If not, I'd rather have Jared Goff. Because if you're telling me one has been to a Super Bowl and one hasn't, give me the dude that's been to a Super Bowl over the dude that hasn't. But one is throwaway and one is franchise. Why? Because of expectations, big dog.
No, because I just told you, first of all, you jump over. That's cute, but it's incomplete.
How?
Because it doesn't have the individual stats in there. You just gave me win-loss. You gave me win-loss.
I gave you touchdowns, interceptions. I gave you passing yards.
You want to go to ratings? You want to go to completion?
We can go there.
You didn't go there, so I ain't going there neither because it's going to boggle down the damn full screen. But the point of this is, if you're really trying to give me Dak Prescott and Jared Goff,
yes, sir,
I could play your game.
Please.
Put them in the same situation. What's going to happen? Who's going to be better in that situation?
Goff.
Oh, okay, I'm done. I'm done with you right now. Okay, one team just had to pay the second highest just to keep them, and one team was like, anybody wants them, but you're going to act like that they're the same.
Because of expectations. So
it's not expectations.
It comes back to that same analogy.
No.
If I show up to Chili's with this steak, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I want that.
No, not me.
If I show up to the 5-star joint with the steak, you're going to be like, ugh, send that away. That's Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. Who showed up to a Super Bowl-ready team? Not Jared Goff. Jared Goff showed up to a trash coach in Jeff Fisher.
Not Dak Prescott. He went to a 4-12 team.
They were 4-12 because Romo was hurt.
A long-ass sentence to say 4-12, but go ahead.
They had 3 All-Pro offensive linemen.
4-12.
Hall of Fame tight end.
4-12.
Most touchdowns in Cowboys history.
4-12.
All-Pro slot receiver in Cole Beasley.
4-12.
Dak Prescott.
That's all I know. And then 13-3.
He waltzed into a Super Bowl-made team. Jared Goff waltzed into a
that sounds like somebody drinking the Kool-Aid of expectations. If you think a 4-12 team is ready for a Super Bowl. Anyway, all I want to tell you is first of all, we are so into our takes. The question is he going to live up to the deal in year 1? You saying no?
There's not a chance.
There's not a chance?
He can't.
Okay, winning the division, is that living up to it?
No.
Okay, so
a lot of quarterbacks. Alex Smith won the division last year.
I love it. I love the fact that you don't even believe your own take. So let's go back to the individual components. If Dak goes out there once again, you know that last year he was on a historical pace to set records at the passing.
They were 2 and 3.
And then if you want to go back to 2019, Dak Prescott had 4,900 passing yards and 30 passing touchdowns, which were both top 5 in the NFL. You told me individually. Correct. So if he has top 5 numbers, is he living up to expectations?
The only way Dak can live up to
can't even answer.
I can. I'm answering it right now. He would have to be the top 2 quarterback.
Top 2?
Yes, he's getting top 2 money.
Oh, no,
so if he has to be a top 2 quarterback, so they got to go to a Super Bowl, at least an NFC Championship game. If he making top 2 money, I need top 2 results. If you're the second highest paid TV person in the whole television, you better be the second highest rated show.
But I didn't see that individually from Patrick Mahomes.
He went to the Super Bowl.
Oh, but that's you just.
I said top 2.
I just said individual. See, you keep giving me when you don't have the individual.
Either one.
Do you know we just asked this question 4 minutes ago, and I said, does it matter individual by itself? And you gave me the pass.
Yeah, no, I said individual or collective.
Okay.
Individual or collective.
Okay, I could go big. I could play both ways, bro. I'm going to win either way.
You can't win neither
I got my handles on both sides, homie Rucker. Let's go right here. If the team goes to the playoffs, that's team, right?
Yes, sir.
You're saying that that's not living up to it. Okay, what if they win a playoff game? Win 2 playoff games. Get to the Super Bowl.
No.
You're
saying
the
Super Bowl, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that's the team one. They got to get to the Super Bowl.
Yes, I'll take either one. Give me either one, Sal.
Woosah. Now let's go individually. How can Dak do it? Last year, he was on pace to being top 2, and then okay, I'm not even gonna go there. 2019, he was top 5, and then he was bottom 5 in money. So if he just picks up top 5 to top 2, Acho will say he lived up to expectations.
No. Define top 5. Passing yards in and of itself isn't enough. Jameis Winston led the league in passing yards.
Touchdowns.
Does he get an MVP vote? Like, if you're top 5, I would hope that you get an MVP vote to make you top 5.
Russell Wilson has never got an MVP vote, but you said he lived up to expectations.
Jameis was top 5 in passing yards and top 5 in touchdowns. He threw for 5,000 yards, one of 8 quarterbacks only. He won the top 5 quarterback. You can't give me one statistical category to make him top 5. Dak lives up to...
I just said passing touchdowns and yards, and you said I can't give you one, I gave you 2. You're right.
The only way Dak lives up to expectations, because he's top 2 in...
That's what we needed to start with. What is the way that Dak can live up to this contract since Deshaun can't, but it's okay because that's your boy?
The only way Dak can live up to expectations is if his money directly equals his individual success or his team success. He's the highest paid quarterback.
We already know that.
That means
I said give me an actual benchmark. What? You said Super Bowl team?
Conference championship or better.
That's not top 2.
That's top 4. I'm giving you grace.
Okay, give me
conference championship or better. Top 4.
Right.
Or he has to finish top 3 in MVP voting. That's it.
So Russell Wilson's never lived up to his money.
Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl, sir.
Super Bowl. In his money. Oh, I forgot that's Chili's money. Because back then it wasn't his team. But I give you that. But what about since he got his money? Because Dak has new expectations with new money. Why does Russell Wilson not have new expectations with new money?
Russell Wilson.
Twice 2 new monies.
So based on my theory,
in that corner, huh?
You can argue Russell Wilson hasn't lived up to the expectations.
What do you mean argue? I can say it by your standards.
Yeah, you can make that argument. But the flip side is Russell Wilson has consistently put his team in that position.
Oh, we're doing that now. We're doing that now.
If you want to say, hey, Acho, based upon your logic is flawed, I'll take that L. And I'll say, you know what? Since when Russ was the highest paid, he hadn't lived up to his expectations. You can make that argument.
I ain't gonna make it. Reality will. So the point is, we're going to get back to Dak real soon because that was fun. Coming up is Lamar Jackson unfairly criticized. Oh, if I heard you don't like Dak, I know where this is going. Des Bryant thinks so. We'll tell you if we agree. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. I need my corner man right now. I'm cut up.
The brand new Fox Sports app is a finalist for the 13th annual Shorty Awards. I love it. I do not download any apps. I simply do not. I'm an old man. I don't know how to use my phone. I don't like apps. I don't like clutter. But the Fox Sports app is so sleek. It has everything you would ever want. So I got it on my phone. You should have it too. You should also vote for us for the Shorty Awards. You can vote in the description below. Vote once a day. Vote for the Fox Sports app. We are a finalist. We need this. Do it, America.
Sunday, the best season ever continues as the NASCAR Cup Series heads to Bristol for the first dirt track race in 50 years. The action starts Sunday at 3:30 Eastern on Fox and anywhere on the Fox Sports app. Lamar Jackson already has 30 wins on his resume and is coming off his first playoff victory last season. But he is still facing a lot of criticism. Lamar's offensive numbers were down across the board from his MVP season, and the Ravens had the worst passing offense in the league. Lamar's former teammate Des Bryant, throw up the X, has his back tweeting, all of his Lamar hate is starting to get on my nerves. Just know I got to see firsthand what he has to deal with. Him being able to play quarterback is far from the issue. So, Acho, Lamar Jackson unfairly criticized.
Man, I have it down here to say yes, big dog.
Well, say it.
Nah, I got to say it with my chest.
You changed?
Yeah, I'm changing.
You have changed.
And the reason is is because Lamar Jackson's criticism matches his excellence.
Oh, we're doing that.
We're doing that, big dog. I told you.
Criticism.
Every now and then a Wileyism sticks with me for life, and the cost of praise is criticism. Or better said, criticism is the cost of praise.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson, he started off his rookie year 6-1 as a starter. We ain't criticize him. He had not his rookie year. Before the playoffs. Not before the playoffs, big dog.
I just said, I used to see. Hit dogs holler. I just said,
No, annoyed dogs holler.
You ain't lying, too.
Lamar Jackson comes in his rookie year. 58% completion percentage. Ugh. He had a 84 passer rating. Ugh. He had 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Ugh, 2-1. We didn't criticize him at all because his expectations weren't high. By the way, 84 passer rating, worst of his career. 58% completion percentage, worst of his career. 2-1 touchdown interception ratio, worst of his career. But why didn't we criticize him then? Because his expectations weren't that high. What I say, if you want to avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. Lamar Jackson has said everything, he's done everything, and he has been everything.
Love it.
So his criticism actually isn't unfair. It's just matching his excellence. When did we start to criticize Lamar? When he became a unanimous MVP. Not after he won the award, but when he was en route to becoming a unanimous MVP. Then he got unanimous MVP criticism. He set the bar high. And so now we're just matching his energy. He's incredibly good, and we matching that with meticulous criticism. Again, Stel, it comes down to this. We're going to talk track and field. Because we always do.
Yes.
Usain Bolt could run a top flight time of 10 seconds in 100 meters, right?
Yeah.
That's still world class.
Oh, yeah.
But we would criticize the mess out of Usain because he's shown us he's capable of running half a second faster, a world record. Lamar Jackson has shown us he's capable of being a unanimous MVP. So when we see anything less than his capabilities, less than his abilities, rather, we criticize him. It's not unfair. Our criticism is matching his excellence. He's been excellent, and thus he's getting criticism.
Man, I ain't talking to you right now. Boy, these Monday shows, because we be pinned up over the weekend, I ain't got nobody to argue with, nobody to debate with, no one to have an intellectual conversation with, an uncomfortable conversation with. We come in here Monday, blah, blah, blah. Boy, I have written down here, yes. I'm going to say yes, because that's what it is. And life's not fair, but he is certainly being unfairly criticized. Boy, I didn't know my boy Acho would be so guilty of selective perception. You one of them dudes from Texas, I don't know, Dallas area, who went to school in Austin, who moves to L.A. and said, Marcellus, calling me up, bugging me. I got 3 kids at home, 1 adult, that's my kid, that's 4, got a wife. I'm at the crib, and Acho talking about, man, everybody in L.A. is rich. Everybody in L.A. got a Benz. Everybody in L.A. Hollywood. I'm like, dog. If you leave La Cienega and Sunset, you'll see what L.A. really is. Inland Empire. L.A. really is other parts. You're caught up. You picking, cherry picking, thinking what you think, and thinking that's everything. Let me tell you why he's being unfairly criticized. Because Lamar Jackson is a stud, is a beast. And you come on here on record, on television for the world to see saying he wasn't criticized after his rookie year. Actually, you're correct. He was criticized before his rookie year. He was criticized in college. He wasn't even a professional. And he got Hall of Fame general managers calling him out, telling him, you know you need to switch positions because you're not a quarterback in NFL. Tell me this, Acho. When the last time you saw a running back lead the NFL in passing touchdowns? I'll wait. It ain't happened because Lamar Jackson is a beast. He is a stud. This guy is outperforming his scheme. He's outperforming his philosophy of offense, and he's outperforming the offensive system. So now let's get to my point. For Lamar to continue to grow, to not face this unfair criticism, to really say what Des Bryant was trying to say, Greg Roman has to evolve, my brother. He has to evolve. I remind people who Greg Roman is. Greg Roman is the same guy that's got Colin Kaepernick San Francisco notes and plays on some scrap piece of paper and is still trying to run those same plays in 2021. This ain't 2012, brother. The last 2 digits flipped, homeboy, and he has not evolved. I remind people who Greg Roman is, and I have no problems with Greg Roman. I just don't like what I see in this resume. 8 seasons in which Greg Roman has been an NFL offensive coordinator. Y'all listen to this. He has been top 10 as a rushing attack every single year and bottom 10 as a passing attack every single year. Come on, big dog. We're going to put this on Lamar Jackson, the running back that could throw, or we're going to put it on the system that he's trying to throw in. He is outperforming everything that they're giving him. And unfortunately, my boy Acho didn't even see that. Got to bring in somebody who may see that, Fox NFL analyst Bucky Brooks. So, Bucky, is Lamar Jackson unfairly criticized?
Yes, he absolutely is unfairly criticized. And a lot of this is confirmation bias based on how he entered the league. You guys had a private conversation off the air. We talked about Dak Prescott coming in as a fourth-round pick, so the expectations were lower. For the majority of people, many of them didn't expect Lamar Jackson to have success as a quarterback. He was drafted later in the first round. Many viewed him as a runaround quarterback, didn't think that style would work. And so everyone is waiting for the other shoe to drop. Even though he's had success by any measure, you want to do team success, 31-7 during the regular season. He took over a team with Joe Flacco had that was floundering and made them a playoff team each and every year he's been a starting quarterback. You talk about being an MVP, that is being recognized as the best player in the league. Yet we still are nitpicking his game. And what do we always go to? His passing stats. Oh, he's not doing this as a passer. Oh, he's not doing this as a passer. But let's look at what he's been able to do as a runner. He has 2 1,000-yard seasons back-to-back. First time we've ever seen a quarterback do that. When we look at his passing stats, when it comes to throwing touchdowns versus interceptions, 6 to 8 touchdowns, only 18 interceptions. And what we will term a down year, his passer rating was still almost 100. It was at 99. And so when we think about the criticism, it is unfair because there are other guys who've accomplished less, who skate and slide up under the criticism, where Lamar Jackson gets all of the bows and arrows thrown at him. It is unfair just because he's been so successful, so excellent, that we're trying to find ways to nitpick his game when really we should celebrate his success, even though there's still things he needs to work on as a player.
But, Bucky, my truth is in the truth of your answer. You said that several players skate by criticism even though they've accomplished less. That's been my point. His criticism is matching his excellence. The reason Lamar Jackson is getting criticized in the manner that he is because he has accomplished so much. We were not criticizing Lamar Jackson in the midst of his rookie season because we were like, yo, you 6-1. Completion percentage was terrible, y'all. 58% is terrible. For context, league average this year is 65. Passer rating was terrible, y'all. Passer rating was 84. For context, this year, league average was 93. For better context, Lamar Jackson's passer rating the next year was 114. His rookie year, it was 84. Terrible. But we weren't criticizing his passer rating. We weren't criticizing his completion percentage because he hadn't accomplished enough to be deemed as so excellent. Our criticism is only matching that. In all honesty, he should view the criticism as a sign of respect because it means he's doing something worth getting criticized. If we log on Twitter or IG, and ain't nobody clowning us, it's like, oh, ain't nobody watching.
Ain't nobody checking for us.
But look, I'll keep it a buck. I hosted the Bashful last week. Several people saw it.
Oh, really? We didn't see that.
But the thing is, when I got somebody clowned me for the job I did, and I wasn't even tripping, I was like, yo, that means you were watching, and you were watching enough to take your time to make a mockery of what I did, but you had to set up your cameras at home, set up your lighting, cut it, edit it, just to make fun of me, because you was watching me. You ain't criticizing old blogger at home that's getting 500 views. No. You criticizing me who got 5 million views. So keep criticizing. So as I look at it with Lamar Jackson, I don't think it's unfair criticism. I think the criticism is matching and is right on par with his excellence. I had to personalize it.
I like how Acho was able to segue a little 2-minute plug on me and The Bachelor.
You caught that, Bucky?
I dig it. I like this.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
I like that. Hell? Platform to fire off at the haters. I'm okay with it. And so with Lamar Jackson, I understand this. I think the thing is, we talk about context because you are right. To whom much is given, much is required.
Yes,
and so we expect a lot from Lamar Jackson. The problem is all criticism isn't levied the same. So when we hear the criticism or lack of criticism on Matthew Stafford, who is 0-3 in the postseason, even though he's been in the league for 12 years, he doesn't go despite being a #1 overall pick. Or even Russell Wilson, who's 1-4 in his last 5 playoff games. He's because we tend to blame everybody else. Or even a Deshaun Watson, who's 1-2 and hasn't accomplished what Lamar Jackson has accomplished. Those guys aren't subject to the same kind of criticism as Lamar Jackson. So when we take it all in, we're saying, wow, Lamar Jackson has been recognized as being #1, the #1 player, the best player in the league, yet he is always under this criticism. He can't play or whatever, while there are lesser players who are not subject to the same criticism. So in fairness, that's what we're talking about. But in what you're saying, you have some merit. I'll give you some merit on some of those.
Look, nah, don't let Acho off the hook like that. Because, you know, Acho does. Acho tried to transfer that energy to him and then make us sympathetic because we, 1, know Acho, 2, love Acho, and 3, was proud of him doing The Bachelor. Still mad. What's his name, Matt? Still mad at you, brother. Boy, we're going to talk one day. I'm going to be one of them bloggers. I'm going to do one on Matt. Yo, non-talking angry ass. Okay, let me get back to this. Acho think he's slick. Acho come up here and say, well, the criticism came because of the expectations and because of what you became. No. Because as Bucky pointed out in his first take, it started way back in college when he won an Heisman. And then it started all the way through the draft process to the point where he was the last pick in the first round when he shouldn't have been that. We already know all the awards and the success that he's had, but let's just give you some simple, sterile numbers to talk about why y'all are unfairly criticizing this guy. He's one of only 2 players ever to win a unanimous MVP. 43 total touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Next year, in decline, he has 33 total touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And everyone's like, boo, get him out of here. No, but I don't work with everybody. I work with Acho. And this is the same Acho who tells me incline, forget decline, incline, Baker Mayfield goes out there and throws 27 total touchdowns, has 27 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Not even close to what Lamar Jackson did, but here's Acho on Baker, and here's him, no, to Lamar. That doesn't make sense, and that's why Lamar's being unfairly criticized. Let me give you this, too. Coach David Culley just went on the podcast. I heard it. He basically said the same damn thing that Dez Bryant said about Baltimore, about the situation with Lamar Jackson. I remind y'all, who are his receivers? Miles Boykin, Devin Duvernay, and a man by the name of Marquise Brown, but they call him Hollywood. You know why they call him Hollywood? Because he's acting like he's a receiver right now in the NFL instead of really being one. And I know the dude got talent, but bruh, none of these dudes have ever had 800 yards in a season, let alone 1,000 yards in a season. So when I talk about an organization, Ravens, that has not drafted or not had a receiver that has been in the Pro Bowl since 1996, you know that's like Pac and Biggie right before they died. Right there, 1996. We're talking about them and the Washington football team, the only teams that is that bad at the receiver position. But y'all gonna blame Lamar Jackson? Bucky, if you got anything else, let me know, because I don't see any other answer but unfair criticism.
I mean, you ended the clip right there. Like, those stats are, I mean, it's hard.
First off, he didn't.
Oh, I told you, you can't talk. You did.
He didn't empty no. Look, he said Hollywood. He said Lamar ain't got no help. Hollywood Brown was a first-round pick. Miles Boykin was a third-round pick. Devin Duvernay was a third-round pick. If none of them dudes got over 800 yards, don't you think the quarterback plays a factor? Now, I'm not here to shun Lamar. I'm not here to clown Lamar. Wow. But I'm also not going to turn a blind eye to the primary contributor to a receiver having receiving yards, which is the passer. What I will say is this, Sel. Your boy grew up in a fairly nice house in Dallas, Texas.
That means you're
fairly
rich.
nice. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, Bucky Brooks.
Say it.
Take my house in Dallas, right, and put that in Nigeria. No criticism. Ooh, y'all live in this, y'all live in that. Oh, my God, that thing nice. Take that same exact house in Dallas and put it in Beverly Hills, and we all gonna criticize it. Because criticism is equal.
Once again, this is his trick. This is his bachelor trick remixed. This is his bachelor trick remixed. And you don't live in Beverly Hills. You live in Beverly Hills adjacent. So that house will look okay with your adjacent ass. Coming up, I ain't talking to him no more. Every time we say something, but me, the Russell Wilson drama in Seattle is not going away. We'll tell you if the Seahawks have let their quarterback down. Next, so speak for yourself. Adjacent.
I ain't got Beverly Hills money. That's a fair analysis.
Watch it speak for yourself, Marcelo Swally, Emmanuel Acho out there. Let's head to Seattle, where Russell Wilson is a Seahawk now. But what about the future? CBS Sports says it looks like he'll be in Seattle next season, but it's quite likely he will not be there for the duration of his contract, which runs out in 2023. The report adds, quote, a contentious offseason between player and team has moved the camps further apart. Ooh. Meanwhile, Russ worked hard to get Chris Carson back on the roster in Seattle and signed him to a 3-year deal over the weekend. So, Acho, have the Seahawks let Russell Wilson? Damn!
Not at all. I'm about to say something I didn't necessarily prepare for, but that's how it goes on this show.
Damn, that's twice.
Twice.
What you do this weekend?
My greatest thoughts come to me in the middle of a conversation.
No, I object, Your Honor. I don't agree with that, Your Honor. Let's hear it.
I'm confident that Russell Wilson, we may not even know who he is if not for the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll. Let me tell you why. And I think you'll actually agree when I get here. In the NFL, contrary to what y'all think, you don't play the best players. You play the highest paid players.
That's facts.
The biggest thing that startled me, because Russell Wilson and myself entered the NFL the exact same year, when I saw that Russell Wilson was starting, I said, how? And not because Russell's not talented. I knew he was incredibly talented. Played with him, played against him in the All-Star game, the Senior Bowl. But remember, the Seahawks had signed a dude by the name of Matt Flynn.
Yes.
$10 million guaranteed. At that point in time, I was like, oh, Russ, it don't matter how good you are, big dog. You're not going to start.
You ain't starting.
When Pete Carroll started Russell Wilson, I said, wait a second, Pete. You're the only coach in the NFL who would have started the worst player started, not benched Matt Flynn in the middle of the season. No. Russell Wilson won the job during camp. I said, Pete Carroll, you're the only dude in the NFL who would have done this. Where are my examples? Tom Brady surely was better than Drew Bledsoe, because Tom Brady took over for Drew Bledsoe and ends up winning a Super Bowl. But Drew Bledsoe was the highest paid at the time. So who was starting? Hold on now. Dak Prescott was probably better than Tony Romo, because as soon as Dak Prescott stepped in, the Cowboys went 13-3. Tony Romo, most games he ever won in a year was 13-3. So over the course of that camp, you can probably safely assume that year Dak Prescott was better than Tony Romo, but Dak Prescott wasn't set to start. He didn't win the job until Tony got hurt. So now I bring back Russell Wilson. If not for the Seahawks, Russell Wilson never would have started, especially not year one. So there's no way that I can say the Seahawks have let Russell Wilson down when they did something that I don't know any other organization would have done, because you don't play the best players in the NFL. You play the highest paid players in the NFL. And my last point on my first lap cell is very simple.
You said a lot of.
You got 4 consecutive top defenses. And by top, I mean top 2, and they not 2. Russell Wilson enters a league, #1 scoring defense 4 consecutive years in a row. You won a Super Bowl off one of those #1 defenses. For context, Tom Brady in his 20 years in New England, he only had the #1 overall defense 3 times. Russell Wilson, your first 4 years in Seattle, you had the #1 overall defense 4 times. Can't let you down when things were done for you that haven't been done for anybody else in NFL history.
Good take. Especially on the fly. No, the Seahawks have not let Russell Wilson down, but you just let me down. I always got to get this little side joke in. I ain't going to be sitting on this desk too long allowing some Drew Bledsoe slander. That dude was, you want to know why he was the first one to ever get $100 million? Because Drew Bledsoe was that dude. Oh, my God. Went to a Super Bowl, lost it, but you can't bench a guy, Tom Brady, after he wins the Super Bowl in his second year. So that's all that was, political. But damn, was Brady better than Drew Bledsoe in year 2? I don't know about that, but Drew Bledsoe started to come. Anyway, I digress. All right, let's go back to Russell Wilson. Woo, Russell Wilson. Man, you just don't understand what's at play. The Seattle Seahawks are like, dog, we made you. And now you trying to make us look like the bad guys? Ooh, you ungrateful son of a rich. Oh, yeah, because you got paid twice by us, and now you're going to be ungrateful, you son of a rich. Okay, let's talk about who Russell Wilson thinks he is. He thinks he's Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, because that's who got him envious and jealous watching him in the Super Bowl. And I swear these Seahawks are like, you ain't them. Because those guys are either regular season MVPs or Super Bowl MVPs. But because of us and our top 5 rushing attacks, and because of us and our first 4 years #1 scoring defenses, you are allowed to win that Super Bowl. And you are allowed to go to a second Super Bowl and throw it away. But the point is, now you think you are them? Them dudes are on a different level, Russ. So when we let you act like you're them and let Russ cook, you know what happens, Russ? We don't cook. Last 9 playoff appearances, we have lost 6, letting you go out there and cook or be the leader that thinks that he is Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady. So you're going to go down in history as one of those type of guys because, one, you got the Super Bowl, you went to a second Super Bowl. But if people dive into the details, they'll realize, Russell Wilson, you ain't them. As young JuJu said, that ain't this, and this ain't that, and I'm strapped. And Russell Wilson better duck, because Pete Carroll is tired of Russell Wilson going out there acting like he led the charge to all this greatness. So Russell Wilson, be careful, man, because they have taken care of you. You have done your job. You're an elite quarterback, blah, blah, blah. But there are levels to this meat meal, and you better know what level you on, Russ.
That's well said, well said, well said. The other thing we have to keep in mind is the saying, comparison is a thief of joy. Russell Wilson, you're comparing yourself to Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. Ooh. But remember, comparison can fulfill you with joy if you look the other way now, because Baker Mayfield, 4 head coaches in 3 years. Yeah. Now, Russell Wilson, you don't think he would have died to be in the situation you were in? Deshaun Watson, terrible head coach, incompetent head coach, trades DeAndre Hopkins, a top-flight receiver. You don't think Deshaun Watson would die to be in a situation you're in? Aaron Rodgers, dude would kill for a top 5 defense, Russ. One time he had a top 5 defense. He won the Super Bowl. You don't think he would die to be in a situation you're in? Matthew Stafford. Oh, Matthew Stafford never won a playoff game. Matthew Stafford. 165 career starts. Only had a rusher rush for 100 yards 11 times. You don't think he would kill to be in a situation you were in, Russ? Comparison is definitely the thief of joy if you look one way. But if you look the other way, Russell Wilson, it will give you all the joy you need. The Seahawks haven't let Russ down because, again, you come into the league and they go above and beyond NFL protocol and say, you know what? We're going to look stupid in signing Matt Flynn. Pete Carroll said that. By benching Matt Flynn to start Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll said, you know what? John Snyder and I, assuming John Snyder was a GM at the time, I don't remember because I was playing, so I wasn't studying back then. Assuming John Snyder was a GM at the time, Pete Carroll said, you know what? I'm willing to look dumb for you, Russ. Start you, Russ, and then you win you a Super Bowl with this defense that I gave you. You could argue the Seahawks have let Russ down recently, but in totality, there's no way to... You can make an argument. Maybe last 3 years, last 4 years, they let him down.
No? Let me say this. Man, I love just talking for people because they like to keep it 99. I like to keep it 100. My friends always tease my wife especially. They're like, we pity you because we know arguing with Marcellus is emotionless to him. Like, I really, and I think it may be PTSD. I don't know what happened to me growing up, but the point is, when I argue, I ain't trying to feel how it feels. I'm just telling you what it is. And then you got to take that medicine. Russell Wilson, boy, I'm going to tell you what Pete Carroll is really trying to say. Dog, we gave you defense. We gave you running game.
Yes, sir.
And then you want to talk about recently, we've given you receivers. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, 10-plus touchdowns, 1,000-plus yards. There's only 2 other teams can even say that. And you over here looking at us like, what? You nitpicking like that? Russ, look in the mirror, bruh. It's on you. Oh, it's the offensive line. I remind people, I'm not going to let Russell Wilson get away with this. This year, their offensive line was ranked 7th in terms of pressure percentage. Like, oh, my God, everybody in your face. 7th. When they won the Super Bowl, they were the 2nd highest. And when they lost the Super Bowl, they were the highest. This offensive line has given Russell Wilson the 2nd most time in the pocket last year behind only Lamar Jackson. And I told you before, Lamar Jackson only in the pocket just to figure out Greg Roman ain't calling no good pass plays. Let me run up out of here. Russell, everywhere you look, there you are. Look in the mirror, bruh, and keep it 100. Let's move on to LeBron James, who could miss up to a month. 1 month? More than that. We'll tell you if the Lakers can stay afloat without the king. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
Let's head back to the NBA because LeBron James could be out for a month after suffering a high ankle sprain in Saturday's loss to the Hawks. The Lakers are the 3rd seed in the West, but they're only 5 games up on the 8th seed. Mavericks, that is. Now, Dennis Schroeder said, without LeBron and AD, LA has to be scrappier on defense and play with more pace. They got to do a lot more than that. Anyway, I have to bring in NBA analyst Slick Rick, my guy. Background changes every day. Good to see you. But Marcellus, you up first. Can the Lakers stay afloat without LeBron James?
No. They can't stay afloat. Y'all know this. Don't stop asking me the same damn question, Nacho. I'm going to give you the same damn answer. These Lakers are in trouble. You know why they're in trouble? Because they've just been removed from all of the talent that made them champions. Lakers won the championship simply because they had 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA. It's that simple. Stop telling me about the Voltron of the Miami Heat last year and all those scores that they had and, all these weapons coming from different places. 2 of the top 5 is the trump card. Now you have 0 of the top 5 because those guys are out and Montrezl Harrell is trying to lead the way. That's not going to be enough in a talent-driven league. So for the Lakers, 7th through 10th seed may be on the horizon. Stop. Playing time. That's who the Lakers going to be. They're going to be a playing team. They're in trouble right now. If you look at the Lakers against Western Conference teams, just the Western Conference teams, they have the 7th best record in the West. It's not going to be good enough. So when we hear indefinitely with AD, when we hear indefinitely with LeBron James, there won't be that 5 months and the bubble to come save the day over an injury-prone AD and LeBron, who was injured the year before. That's why the Lakers didn't make the playoffs. This is simple math, y'all. Hate to say it. If the Lakers can't get these guys back in a hurry and with some momentum heading into the playoffs, we know how this is going to end. There's going to be a letdown from last year's championship.
I'm with you to a degree. The Lakers can't stay afloat, but they won't drown. LeBron James going to get to them before they drown, Sel, and that's all that is important. Let me take you back to a true story. I'm in Turks and Caicos. I'm on vacation.
Please.
I'm on vacation, and here's the thing. I don't scuba dive because I'm not a big swimmer. I'm not that. I know my bounds. I'm a ground guy. Okay, I like to walk. I don't like to swim.
Man, but stereotype.
I see that. I see that. The water's kind of choppy. The waves are kind of choppy. So, I get back on the boat. The problem is everybody didn't have the same discernment as I do. Ooh. So I'm getting back onto the boat. The waves are crashing. Are you? Dude grabs my hand. I get back onto the boat. True story.
Why are you doing that? You the one?
No. I'm holding on to the ladder.
Okay.
I'm holding on to the ladder, bro. Like the waves are crashing. Dude grabs my hand. He lifts me up to the boat. I get on the boat. All of a sudden, I hear, help, help. I look on the other side of the boat. There's some woman's fighting for her life, and I think she's fighting as hard as she can get. I look, I'm like, well, I can't help you because I could barely help myself. Thankfully, one of the attendants on the boat jumps in, grabs her, swims back under the boat because the boat had thrown itself over her, swims back under the boat, and they get on the boat. Here is my thing. LeBron James is going to be the person who jumped off the boat and grabbed the helpless woman. The Lakers are helpless without LeBron James. Helpless. They win 33% of the time without LeBron James. They won't be able to stay afloat. However, even if they end up at the 6th seed or the 7th seed, even if they have to play in a play-in game as a 7th seed or the 8th seed, LeBron James will get to them in time before it is too late. Can't stay afloat, but the Lakers won't drown.
Acho, I'm glad you brought that back, man, because I was out here going, okay, I see him out there. I don't know how he's going to get back to us, but you did it. So congratulations. Yeah. I appreciate it. I appreciate the story. There is no chance that they stay afloat. And I'm just going to stay in the present in terms of what they face. The latest reports on Anthony Davis is that it's going to be later, not sooner, that he returns. So they are going to be playing for at least the next 2, 3, 4 weeks without both of their top stars. And if you look at their schedule, it does them no favors. They've got 16 games over that stretch. 10 of them are against teams that are currently in the playoffs. They play all 3 of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, and 9 of the 16 teams are in the Eastern Conference who they don't have a very good record against. Oh, and 9 of the 16 are also on the road. So when I add it all up, the competition is not going to do them any favors either, nor does the way this season is situated, because everybody is clawing. They're playing Miami and Boston, and both of those teams are scrapping right now to move up in the standings. So that is the number one issue. And then to Marcellus's point, it's going to expose the fact that the changes that they made in this roster from last year to this year have been quietly exposed throughout the year, but now you're going to be ripping the entire cover off that Marc Gasol is not what they had hoped he would be, that Montrezl Harrell is not what he was with the Clippers last year, that Wes Matthews, who they were confident would be an upgrade from Danny Green, has not been that. They are in big trouble. Now, the idea that they're in a play-in situation, when Marcellus first mentioned it, I was like, no, that can't. That's not going to happen to the Lakers. But I look at the timing of where we are in the season, how long those guys are going to be out, and who they're going to be playing in the meantime, and that is not as far-fetched as the trip that we took with Acho in making the analogy. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, there is a real chance that they are going to have to fight their way into the playoff situation.
Oh, yeah, that Acho example. I knew we were going to go somewhere far, Slick. I was like, we better hold our breath.
I felt like we took a vacation.
Dog, we did. Well, first of all, when he started off saying, I'm in Turks and Caicos, y'all. I'm in Turks and Caicos. I'm on vacation. I'm like, you don't live there. We know you're on vacation. What the hell else you going to be doing there? What you doing? You doing another show? And then he talk about LeBron going to be the one that saves everybody. And then he tried to go here.
Where I go?
Slick. He went here. Some woman tried to get on his boat.
I didn't know it.
Oh, you didn't know it? She's just grabbing your boat?
It wasn't my boat. I don't have Marcellus money. Okay.
Oh, so she's just grabbing around the boat
to go on a ride with people.
And that wasn't even your worst transgression. It was the fact that you're going to wait for Slick Rick the Bucher to come on here and to live up to a damn stereotype that a brother can't swim. And all y'all out there struggling. Slick is up at 5 in the morning every day surfing. He just shaking his head. He's like, when I get off air, I'm going to let Acho have it. I digress. Let's talk about these Lakers. I know what y'all think of me out there. I read comments. I even got some of them Durant accounts out there, and I comment on my own stuff. I know what it is. I know y'all call me a Laker hater. And it's funny, I laugh at that until I look in the mirror, and it says, no, Marcellus, you're not a Laker hater. You're a Laker truth teller. And as Slick Rick heard it at first, how shocking it sounds. The Lakers going to be in a play-in game. Stop. Playing time. But, yep, the facts are the facts. This team is heading towards a play-in situation. Now, we know LeBron James can save them from any situation. I am not stupid. However, with LeBron James and mostly AD this year, this team turns into a team that is ranked 20th, 2-0 in points per game, 22nd at the three-point line. And this is a three-point NBA. And 25th in turnovers per game. Anybody, somebody, tell me how the team that was already compromised, as Slick pointed out, because of the roster moves and the lack of chemistry of this team so far, and now they're injured. Not one, but two of the top 5 players in the NBA are on the sidelines. Must I highlight the fact that it has an impact on defense, especially when you talk about Anthony Davis and his absence? It doesn't make sense to me. Slick, you got anything more on this? If not, I'm out.
Well, look, as challenged as their offense has been, the unique thing about LeBron James is that LeBron James, wherever he plays, he is the system. Like, he's going to make the decisions coming down the court. You don't see them run set plays. It's more like, yeah, they have certain sets, but he determines what they're going to do. And I can't tell you how many plays he breaks, but it's a healthy number because he's reading what's going on and he decides, and everybody has to play off of him. That is why we've always overemphasized, or we look at the talent that is there or isn't there, and I feel it's always been given short shrift because it's a LeBron James system. So you can't replace him even if you have the requisite talent. And if you look at the usage rate, even this year, he is 10th among qualifying players. AD hasn't played enough to qualify. He's 10th. Dennis Schroeder is 64th. I couldn't quite break it down, but that may be the biggest disparity between 1 and 2 on any quality team in the league. And that's the other thing they face. Who's going to be the playmaker? Dennis Schroeder, the last time we saw him as a playmaker was 3 years ago in Atlanta, and he was aight, but not to the level that the Lakers need for them to maintain third in the Western Conference. You liked that, didn't you? I knew you would.
Hey, I love that. Way to break a stereotype, Slick Rick. Aight. And then
he kind of left the A off.
Though, yeah, he did. He went on a little Webster's with it.
Aight.
But you know what's funny, man? Just look at Let's put ourselves in the mindset of all of the other teams out there, the opponents, the real contenders outside of the Lakers. Last year when they saw AD and LeBron coming, and I remind you there was 5 months in the bubble of break, but still, AD and LeBron coming, hand over that Larry O'Brien trophy. But this year, when you don't see them coming and in the front of the line is Montrezl Harrell, or when you want to talk about Schroeder, that's not going to be enough. Give me that trophy back, other teams are saying. We'll see how it plays out. Coming up, Dak Prescott says he's using the Mamba mentality. We'll tell you if the pressure of his big contract will get to him. And that's next on Speak for Yourself. Let's head back to Dallas. The Cowboys apparently have no concerns about Dak Prescott's season-ending ankle injury. They showed that by signing their quarterback to a massive 4-year, $160 million deal with a record $66 million signing bonus. Dak is leading the Cowboys team that finished third in the NFC East with a 6-10 record. Bucky is back, but Acho, you think the pressure of the contract will get to Dak this season?
No, it won't. I hate when we oftentimes have to try to find a name to describe something. For example, if a defense gives up 300 yards because they weren't gap sound, their defensive linemen were in the wrong positions, their linebackers were in the wrong positions, we would say, man, that defense is just soft. They weren't soft. They just weren't schematically correct. But it makes it easier for us to digest as analysts and you as viewers if we call them soft. Because it's easier to say that they're soft than it is to say the linebacker didn't hit the B gap, the defensive end didn't pierce into the C gap, and the outside linebacker didn't run the stunt right and hit the A gap. That's a lot more complex. So we'd rather just say they're soft. It's much easier to say that the pressure got to Dak Prescott this year than to just say Dak Prescott was exactly who Dak Prescott has always been. Really good, not great, really good. It's much easier to just say, oh, the pressure did it. Was it the pressure when Dak Prescott was third in the NFL in turnovers prior to getting injured through 5 weeks of ball this season? Was it the pressure when Dak Prescott jumped from 4 interceptions his rookie year to 11 interceptions his third year? Was it the pressure when the Cowboys went 8-8 after they went 10-6, after they went 9-7, when he started 13-3? Was it the pressure when the Cowboys looked up and they were 2-3? No, it wasn't pressure. It was a plethora of reasons. Defense bad, can't trust a new head coach. Dak Prescott turning the ball over too much. Jason Witten getting old. Jason Witten coming back from retirement. Des Bryant getting hurt. It was a plethora of reasons that led to the Cowboys' failures over the last several years. But this year, regardless of what happens, it will be blamed on the pressure of the contract because pressure is a lazier adjective than what actually happened, which is just Dak Prescott is good, really good at times, but he's not great.
No, do you ever get tired of just hating on Dak Prescott? Do you ever just wake up in the morning and just be like, you know what?
I said he's really good.
I take on Dak. I'm just going to go at him.
Since when is really good hate?
Here's the thing with your take on Dak Prescott, because I never know how you want to measure it. Like, do we measure quarterbacks on their individual success or on their team success?
Thank you.
Because if it's about wins, then I just want to know if it's about wins. Because early in the career when Dak Prescott was winning, it was about, oh, he's not really doing it because they got this great offensive line. They got Zeke Elliott, Amari Cooper. Anybody could win that way. Then it became late in his career. Well, we need to see if Dak Prescott can put this team on his back. We need to see if he can throw the yard. So then the last 2 years, he only throws for over 300 yards a game. He only does it the way that we see it. We only see his completion percentage and all those things go up. We see it become more about Dak on offense and those things. But yet and still, here we are. I need to see more of Dak. Can Dak do it? Now, as it relates to this pressure comment and is he going to feel more pressure?
Get to the point.
He's not going to feel any more pressure because of this. One, he came in the league as a 4th-round pick, and he was given the keys to America's team. It was Tony Romo's team. Tony Romo comes back. He has to fight to keep his job each and every week. He does that. He was the offensive rookie of the year. Then we get to the end of his contract. Oh, Mr. Jones, we need to sweeten this contract. I need to see it. I need to see if you can do it. Does it on his last year. Nope, not quite yet. Let's put you on this franchise tag and see if you can do it again. So what is the difference? There is no difference. He always has to prove himself in Dallas. There's nothing that changes. He now has an opportunity to do it, but now he got some coins in his pocket. That is the only difference.
First off, Bucky Brooks.
Get it, Bucky.
Somebody has to let me know when saying someone is really good is a diss. I said he was really good. Dak Prescott is really good. That's not being critical.
I can.
He's really good.
I can.
That's me saying, yo, I'm going to hook you up. How she look? Yeah.
No. Look, Bucky, if you said she looked really good, I'd be like, oh, okay, bet.
Hold on. But when Jared Goff left and they were talking about him, say we went from really good to great. That was a diss. See how really good is a diss when we're talking to great expectation? Keep going. Oh, me? Go ahead? Okay, good. I want to talk about, one, how pressure gets a negative rap. Like, when you hear pressure, why do you always assume a negative? Yes, this pressure is going to get to Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott always responds to this same pressure. Why? Because pressure is not always a negative. Sometimes it's a positive. I remind people, growing up, we all heard of peer pressure, and everyone always assumes the negative connotation that comes with peer pressure. Somebody gonna tell you to ditch class, or somebody's gonna tell you, let's go hang out and do nothing. How about the positive peer pressure that comes from growing up? When your friends are like, hey, man, let's go to the library, or let's study a little more and then go play. But no one talks about that. So let's talk about how positive peer pressure and pressure on Dak will be positive this year. Here's the thing. Dak Prescott has always, as Bucky said, had to prove himself. And that pressure has always turned into a positive. Whether we talk about the Tony Romo situation or the fact that Dak Prescott had to wait 2+ seasons just to get his money. Now, when he had to wait for his money, he kept getting better in that process. So now when he gets his money, everyone's like, all right, now he's going to cave under the pressure because he got his money. How does that make sense? Two examples come to mind. One, Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod, talked about how the pressure of, one, to get your money is a pressure, but also the pressure to live up to that same money that you got. But let me personalize this, because when I got my money, it was pressure to replace Bruce Smith in a contract year with a back surgery, but I was like, hell no, I'm going to get this money. That was a pressure. The next year, I break my foot before week 1, and I'm like, now there's a different pressure to go out there and live up to that same money. I actually went out there because of that pressure, balled out, got the money, and lived up to the money. But the point is, there were all positives that came from that same pressure. I think Dak Prescott's in the same position. He's going to make lemonade out of all the pressure you throw his way.
So there's no disagreement on if there is pressure. We know there's pressure. The only question is, will the pressure positively impact Dak or negatively impact Dak? So you go into positive. I don't think it'll be negative. I just think all of a sudden there will now be a different lens from which we view Dak. Mm-hmm. When Dak is only getting paid $30 million, I say only because he's on a franchise tag last year, we don't notice that he was tied for 4th in giveaways through 7 weeks. Yeah, they're 2-5, but it's not Dak's fault. We love Dak. Yeah, he's 4th in the NFL, the whole league, in turnovers behind the likes of Kirk Cousins, but that's not on Dak. It's not a big deal. When you're making $160 million, 75 in one season, all of a sudden, people going to look up and be like, wait a second, Dak, we 2-3. We paying you too much money to be 2-3. Wait a second, Dak, you tied for 4th in giveaways. You paying you too much money to be tied for 4th in giveaways. People are going to look up and say, who's the highest paid quarterback in the league? Patrick Mahomes, They're on the route to a Super Bowl appearance again. They're looking good. Aaron Rodgers, they're looking good. Russell Wilson, his team is looking good. But here you are, Dak. The pressure don't be there. The pressure's going to mount. I don't know if Dak going to fold or not. We going to see.
Oh, he ain't never folded.
Coming up,
stop that.
There are a lot of quarterback rumors floating around Philly. We'll tell you how Jalen Hurts should feel about all that. That's next. Speaking of him. It seemed like Jalen Hurts would be the starter in Philly after Carson Wentz was traded, but not so fast. Reports say the Eagles GM Howie Roseman would, quote, give up everything he has for Deshaun Watson. Dang, everything, Howie? This follows news that the Eagles are not closing the door on drafting a quarterback with their number 6 overall pick. But that's not it. A new report says they're bringing in former Super Bowl winner, not Nick Foles, Joe Flacco in for a visit. So, Marcellus, how should Jalen Hurts feel about the Eagles amid these QB rumors?
In one word, reminded. Let's talk about it. Look, Jalen Hurts, this is how you should feel, bruh. You're on a mission to prove, but they just gave you the opportunity to know that you are reminded where you are. You are in the NFL. What does that mean? You are in the belly of the beast, and this is what it looks like. Competition everywhere. People pulling at you everywhere. People doubting you all the time. I remind Jalen Hurts that the GOAT, Tom Brady, was getting dog cursed, they reported, from Bill Belichick in Bob Kraft's house while Giselle is sitting there like, you're not going to talk to my husband like that? And that's the GOAT. So reminded Jalen Hurts, this is how the game goes. Here's the thing. When you talk about Jalen Hurts, man, you should be full of confidence, even though there's always going to be something reported, something that is coming your way, something that's undermining your efforts there. But remind yourself, when everybody's throwing punches at you, that you are your best counter puncher. Throw these punches back at him, Jalen Hurts. Your first 3 starts went down in NFL history, brother. I'm talking about most passing and rushing yards in your first 3 starts, only second to Cam Newton in NFL history. I'm talking about a guy in his first 3 starts who accounted for 361 yards per game. Whew, that's a lot. Same as Aaron Rodgers in terms of touchdowns, 6 touchdowns in his first 3 starts. Oh, you know I was going to go this way. And better than Tom Brady in his passer rating. You hit the ground running like Aaron Rodgers, like Tom Brady and Cam Newton did his rookie year, offensive rookie of the year. Jalen Hurts, when they throw punches in life, just remember, you're your biggest and best cheerleader. Throw them counter punches back and remind yourself of how the game goes.
So I'm not going to let you get away with the ignorance of appreciation throughout the course of the NFL. I mean, your first check was probably bigger than J.D. Rockefeller's, okay? Like, let's be real, okay? You comparing first 3 starts through 20 years.
Anyway, Aaron Rodgers, 08, Aaron Rodgers, ain't 20 years ago.
Look, I like what you said, though, and I think that Jalen Hurts should be worried. That's the adjective I'm going to use. So imagine being the woman who dates the man who cheats on Halle Berry. Like, if you can cheat on Halle Berry, yeah, somebody did.
Justin something? David Justice?
Somebody was tripping.
If
you cheat on Halle Berry, surely you might cheat on the next one. That's Halle. Carson Wentz was the apple of the Eagles' eye. Close to winning an MVP, won a Super Bowl with him on the roster, paid him $130 million. If they can do Carson Wentz like that, Jalen Hurts, you don't think they can do you? 2nd-round pick, not paying very much to like that? Hey, big dog, you better be worried. Now, the worry doesn't need to affect your play, doesn't need to affect your lifestyle. You just need to be cognizant of the fact of they have done better people worse.
Yes.
You feel me? Like, they have done better people worse than they have worse. So imagine what the heck they could do you, Jalen Hurts. I can't feel safe, can't feel comfortable. You can never really feel safe or comfortable in the NFL.
Never!
Except the first year after you sign a big deal.
Yeah, and that's why when I told you the story about when I broke my foot after I signed a big deal, I should have just sat out. But I felt the pressure of living up to the deal. Stupid. I should have just been like, I'm good. Look at it. I'm good. Wally chilling. I ain't playing for y'all till I'm perfect. But, Jalen, let me just give you this advice through the camera. It's the fact that they reminded you how this game goes. They took shots at Tom Brady all the way through his GOAT status and getting to this level. Man, they gonna take shots at you, big dog. Ice Cube told me best. See, growing up, Ice Cube, man, that was my poet right there. You know, I read a little Shakespeare. You know, I would read whatever the teacher would tell me. But then I put on that Ice Cube tape because he was right there next door to me telling me what it was. How to survive in South Central. A place where busting the cap is fundamental. But I said, hold on, Ice Cube, I ain't busting no caps. I got to figure out a different way. So rule number 1, I ain't apply. But rule number 2, don't trust nobody. And I was like, that's what I need. Jalen, Ice Cube told me, he's telling you, don't trust nobody. Staying in the NFC East, this dude's stupid. Ezekiel Elliott just got guaranteed money. But we'll tell you if the Cowboys should be worried about his decline. That's next. Don't speak for yourself.
Well, first off, I ain't busting no cap. What? Second rule.
Cowboys just paid Dak Prescott a whole lot of money. Now they just gave fully guaranteed money to Ezekiel Elliott in his 2020 base salary for over $12 million that year. Zeke is a 2-time rushing leader, but he had a career low in rushing yards and yards per carry last season. Yeah, I know. Acho tells me that all the time. So, Acho, should the Cowboys be worried about Zeke's decline?
Yeah, man. I mean, you worry about something that you're unsure of the future of, but I think they should just know the decline is here. Like, it's not even like, don't worry about it because you know it's about to happen. You worry about something when there's 2 potential possibilities. They need to just come to terms with the decline. And I'll look at it like this. Zeke has 200 more carries than the next person since he's been in the league. The next person being Todd Gurley. And we saw Todd Gurley's decline.
That's different, though. Todd Gurley came into the league with one knee. I'm just saying.
I mean, Todd Gurley had 17 touchdowns and like 1,300 yards in the 2018 season.
No, I get you that.
And the next season, he had 9 touchdowns and 800 yards. And then this past season, he had 600 yards and I think 6 or so touchdowns. We've seen that steady decline.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't want to go micro and compare him to Todd Gurley, let's go macro. The last time we've seen a rusher have this many carries over a 5-year span is Chris Johnson, 2009 and 2013. And after that 5th year, that was Chris Johnson's last 1,000-yard season. We saw that instant decline. So if you want to compare him to someone recent who's currently playing, Todd Gurley, 26 years old, Zeke, 25 years old, you can do that. Do that. You witness that decline. If you want to go historically, recently in the NFL and compare him to the OG Chris Johnson, who everybody loved, 2,000-yard rusher Chris Johnson, you can see that decline. Do I think that Zeke might have a slightly better year than last year? Sure. When you're looking at the graph and you see that one little tick back up before it continues to draft downwards, yes. But I don't see Zeke being the same Zeke that we once knew and once saw. And it's not just Zeke's fault. Remember, Zeke came into the league, 3 all-pro offensive linemen. Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, healthy and all pros. He ain't got that no more. That plays a factor as well. But I think the best days of Zeke, statistically, are behind him.
No, don't worry about Zeke's decline. And I know I'm one of the first people to tell people, take notice to Zeke's decline. But don't worry about it because what he's declining from, he's descending from the heavens. Okay?
Fair.
And that's where everybody is getting caught up in. Oh, my God, if you base Zeke on Zeke and his absurd standards that he set from his rookie year, then, yeah, you're going to be worried. But if you realize, even in Zeke's decline, it's still higher than 90% of these other running backs, you just take notice of it. I remind people that Ezekiel Elliott, even last year, let's go to 2019, because last year, no Dak Prescott in and out the lineup. The entire offense was affected. But let's go back to 2019, because this is interesting. Acho, I need you to be consistent on this.
To me.
In fairness, everyone's talking about his decline since he got into the league, 2016. So 2017, 2018, 2019. I remind people, in decline, Zeke, 2019, was 4th in the NFL in rushing and 5th in touchdowns. And people are like, this dude, he's in decline. I'm like, yeah, he is, from 1st to 4th and 5th. He's still a top 5 player. So it's funny that when we talk about guys in decline, and you always bring up 2019 for Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz that year was 13th in passer rating. That's a different decline than the decline we're talking about with Zeke. I look at Zeke like this. He just got the order mixed up. He got the order messed up. And
you started too hot.
It's hard to tell a cat not to go 100 miles an hour. But I always tell that cat, if you start off 100 miles an hour, your speedometer better say 120, 140, 160. Because if you go the other way, it's going to come back and kill you. I give you my own example, and I give you this example. Player A and player B are both going to get 15 sacks. But player A gets his sacks 0, 5, 10. Player B gets his sacks 10, 5, 0. Same sacks, but which one you taking? Go ahead, you took me. Player A. Yeah, I went 0, 3, 5, 10, 13. And I got that money at 10 to 13. Then I went 6, 3, 0, back down. The point is, we can exaggerate a decline just because of the order in which you went up on your incline. He started so high that people are comparing him to absurdity for real.
But he started so high because he was drafted so high as well.
Okay, good point.
You feel me? Like, your take is essentially flawless. But I also have to say, when you were taken number 4 overall, if I'm not mistaken, as a running back in this modern era where we devalue running backs, Zeke, you got to put out number 4 overall effort, number 4 overall energy. Well, speaking of misguided energy, Mike Tomlin brought back JuJu Smith-Schuster. And I'm going to tell you why that was a mistake. That's next. Speak for yourself.
You said put out?
Well, JuJu Smith had several lucrative offers from other teams, including the Chiefs and the Eagles, but he recently re-signed back with the Steelers, which begs the question amidst all the drama from last year. Marcellus, what is Mike Tomlin doing? Do you think Mike Tomlin is making a mistake by bringing JuJu back.
I know one thing Mike Tomlin's not doing, that JuJu on the beat and all that, whatever the hell them videos were. He ain't TikToking. Oh, Mike Tomlin, you out here tripping. You know that you guys are cash-strapped and have to move around this roster. And you bring back JuJu, who in the last 2 years has been third on your team in receiving yards. Come on. And then he's kind of expensive. Just for a one-year deal? I get why JuJu's doing it, because JuJu wants the continuity, doesn't want a new quarterback, new system. He's trying to get paid with the new NFL TV money. But Mike Tomlin, why'd you do it? Nah, you should have left JuJu off the beat.
Yeah. Yeah, it don't make sense to me. So I look at it like this. JuJu was the third best receiver on his team last year, the third best receiver on his team 2 years ago, and he's not making third best receiver money. Mike Tomlin, you got to make that one make sense.
Props to you, JuJu, though. You don't need a third receiver, and still it's history to get a second contract from him. Congrats to you.